Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. I'm with Liz Trotter. Our guest today is Libby DeLucien.
DeLucien. Yes.
DeLucien. I should have worked on that before we started. My apologies. Thank you for joining us. Libby is a cleaning business owner, and she's going to be helping us kick off automation this month. And today we're going to be talking about recruiting with WootRecruit and just the general concept, but I'm sure we'll learn a lot about the product as well.
Yes, awesome. I'm excited to be here.
So the thing about WootRecruit is you guys really do. You automate the process. I know I use WootRecruit in our company, and you guys do automate the recruiting process. You make it so that it just reduces the amount of time that the company has to spend, and it makes it, WootRecruit makes it so that you have a consistent process. Also, I think that's something that gets lost with people sometimes. Hey, Denise. Hey, I feel like you need another hey on there for like fat elbows.
Hey.
I think that's one of the things that people forget about with automations. It's not just that it's happening automatically, which is amazing. Don't get me wrong, but the consistency that you're getting the same consistent, you're doing the same consistent thing. So A/B testing can work in that environment, right? A/B testing doesn't work if you don't have a consistent thing that you're doing all of the time. So I do love that as well. Oh, so Tom, you're going to share.
Yeah, just kind of the whole theme for the month. We're going to take a process each session, each show out of the process flow chart and talk about how automations can be used to get better outcomes. And if you roll the clock back a while, the whole idea of how automations was kind of icing on the cake. The standard operating procedure was we got to get all these manual processes in place, and we've got to hire people to do all this stuff. And you might hire one person to own, more than one process. For smaller companies, I might own a bunch of processes, but it was all about building a team and training the people on that team to do these things. But in automations was just kind of something that you could kind of throw in. But really in 2022, I think it's kind of flipping, where automations is kind of the primary way that a lot of these processes are being run, or at least through technology. And the people that you're hiring to own these processes are much about being on the technology side and running the automations as it is doing the manual stuff that people used to do. It's shifting, and I think the mindset has to shift with it to kind of get with where we are with 2022. It's not hiring a bunch of people and letting them do manual processes anymore and giving them a computer to do some things with automations. I think it's a lot more about having people on your team who can run the technology and use the tools that you're giving them. And certainly automating the recruiting process, there's a ton of work that you can save there with the right tools.
So are you thinking then, Tom, that more companies nowadays are hiring out for these processes, or they're doing them in-house, or like how does that play in? Who's doing it?
I think it's all over the board. I mean, certainly in, again, 2022, it is easier to find outside resources. There's, tons of freelance sites out there that you can find very talented people all over the globe that can, do, these particular activities for you. And, for other companies, it makes sense to hire people and have them, in-house and on staff. But the thing that I think is shifting, and I think that we're going to see this more and more as time goes on, it used to be the initial thought was, I got to hire somebody to answer the phone, send the email, do all this manual stuff. And if there's an app that I can give them to make their job easier, that's great. I think the app is really, the technology is quickly becoming in the forefront, the first thing that we need to think about. And then it's like, well, what resources do we need that can use this technology that we're going to perform these processes with.
Okay, I like that. So basically, it's just flipped how we're thinking about it more than anything. We're still doing a lot of the same stuff, but where the focus is, that first focus has just shifted from, okay, I've got my person, now what do I need for them to do, versus, all right, now I've got my technology, now how do I manage it? How do I make that happen?
The technology is getting better and cheaper and more available. I mean, Libby's going to be showing us some really cool stuff here, and I'm sorry for belaboring the point, but it's true that 5 years ago you had to be a large company to have access to the tools and technology that Libby's going to be showing us today. So that's really a game changer, and we need to be as managers and putting our business strategies together and building our team. We need to be thinking about technology first and how technology and automations is going to run the processes in this process flow, and what do we build around that to make it work.
Well, actually, I'm thinking that you're speaking right to Libby's language. That's why you started WootRecruit, right, Libby? Because you knew you wanted a tech solution.
Yeah, exactly. I had started WootRecruit because I was actually pregnant and didn't have time to run my cleaning company and do the manual process of going through applications, calling the applicants, looking at resumes, and waiting for these people to show up for interviews, and all for them to not show up, and still clean. I cleaned houses, I did the organizing, all while being 8-9 months pregnant. So I needed a solution, and I originally came from a professional organizing background. So I was a professional organizer. I started my company as a professional organizing company. So I love systems and processes. So Tom talking about processes and systems is right up my alley. And then my second love is technology. And I said, there has got to be an easier way to this. And so I made this little system of what is now WootRecruit. And my original version of WootRecruit looks much different of what it looks like now. But essentially, it was a automated process where applicants could go and apply, and it led them through a series of automations where I didn't have to do anything because I was too busy being a mom, cleaning houses, being an organizer, and doing everything. And so that was kind of where it evolved and how it started. And it saves us so much time now. And it has been so much help. And the story behind it is just crazy, where that little process that I made, I did just this little presentation on it. And it just so happens that Paul Fasshauer was sitting in the room when I did it. And he was like, when I was done, he came up to me and he said, "Hey, that's pretty cool. It's like, you think we could implement that in my business?" And it was the week that COVID had hit. And we were in Dallas, and I was like, "Yeah, sure." Like, we weren't even sure what we were going to be able to fly home. I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so we worked on it together, and he took my process and he made it better, and he made it scalable, and we implemented it, and we took his company from 17 technicians to 32, like in lightning speed.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Man, would you want to just make this a business?" And my quick start in me was like, "Yeah, let's do it." He's like, "You didn't even need to think about it."
Let's think about.
Yes. And that is essentially how WootRecruit was made. And so we are barely a year old, and we just celebrated closing $500,000 this year in revenue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. I like that. That's because the process is working, right? It's working for a lot of people, and a lot of people are having success. So how should we move forward with this conversation today, Libby? What do you suggest that people in the audience could get the most out of the conversation with regards to how to automate, what needs to automate. What we usually like to do on Smart Business Moves is explain to people what needs to happen, even if you don't use, hey, Linda, even if you don't use the presenter's product, like what are still the best practices in this area? Because we recognize that not everybody's going to use, Tom sells Made Central. I sell strategic success groups. Not everybody's going to be in my groups. Not everybody's going to be in Made Central. Not everybody's going to end up at WootRecruit. But we believe that, again, name of our show, right? Smart Business Moves, that there are some best practices that
Absolutely.
you need to do regardless of the platform that you're using. So can you speak to that a little bit? Oh, that's so cute. I love that.
Yeah, I'm going to drop the link to WootRecruit while we're talking, though, if anybody wants to poke around and play with that. The link's in the chat.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have a link, and I can also drop it in the chat. And so that is a little tool that is super cool. And it is your hiring goals, and it is a goal calculator. And you can put in this goal calculator, and this will help you really realize, do you need the power of automations? And this goal calculator, it's going to put in, you're going to have to put in how many technicians did you start the year with? How many did you end the year with? It's going to calculate your attrition.
Would it be good to pop up on the screen and show, Libby?
Yeah, I put the link in there so Tom can go right to that link. And you can just plug in any numbers you want, Tom, if you want to play with it. And this is a great tool. It's free for anybody to use. And it's going to show you some numbers, and you can just put in whatever you want. And it's really going to show you the power of automations.
Yeah, bigger, Tom. I've got a 32-inch screen, and
I think control. Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
So
number of technicians you currently have. You can just say, yeah, because it's just going to tell you. It's going to give you some really cool numbers that you probably didn't even know that you needed to know. What did you want to end the year? What's your end of the year goal? Maybe you said you were at 100,000 a month, and you want to end with 150,000. The name of your company, and it's going to email you the answers. Actually, it's going to tell you the answers on the screen.
Email me.
And so your results are, so you need to hire 5 technicians. So the total technicians are 15 if you go down. Here are some of your targets right here. So you need to, by the end of the year, have hired 8.
Okay.
Be able to end with 5.
To be able to end with 5
based on our historical data.
On your historical data of the numbers that you have put in. So hopefully those were real numbers that you put in. Or at least some real numbers that you put in.
I was making stuff up, but it's plausible. Revenue per tech maybe was a bit ambitious, but it's doable. Yeah, I love this. So there's so many people out there. It's like, I want to grow my business to be some crazy number without, or maybe it's not even a crazy number, but to a number without really putting the pieces together of, well, how much recruiting do I have to do? How much marketing do I need to do? How many people do I need to hire? How many new customers do I need to get? And once you're able to start piecing all those together, you really know what you need to do in order to make that, revenue number that you're shooting for.
So, this right here will tell you how many weekly interviews do I need to do. This is saying that statistically you need to do 3.2 interviews a week, but you need to have 6.4 interviews scheduled.
Because you're only going to do half, right?
That's if you have a 50% show rate.
Is that a number that you guys see as kind of a national average?
Is a 50% show rate. Yeah.
Okay.
That is a WootRecruit show rate. So we have a little bit higher show rate than most people.
All right, so that's good information. So if you are filling this out and you know that if you invite 10 people and only 2 show, you're going to have to change this number because this is based on 50%, not on 20%, right?
Yes.
And you're assuming that 50% of the job offers actually take the job?
So we're assuming that jobs offered right here, daily.
1.4.
The job offer is 1.4 and higher. You want to hire 0.7 people a month, so you have to offer twice that many people in order to. Okay.
And if you're in WootRecruit, what that means is if you are, everything's cut in half, right? So if you know that you need to have 5 people, well, then you know that you have to interview 10. No, you have to interview 20.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to interview 20 or you have to invite to interview 20. Only 10 are going to show up. And of those 10 that show up, you're only going to hire half of those. So you're going to end up with 5. And then there's probably after that, you're going to also need to look at, I'm not sure if this is on here, but your retention rate. So you hire 5. How many of those 5 are going to stick for an entire month?
Yeah, we entered earlier the number of techs that we lost the prior year, so that kind of gets us an 80% attrition rate, which in the whole scheme of things is probably optimistic. It's probably better than average. I'm
sure.
It's
pretty good.
So
those numbers you put in earlier affect some of this stuff.
Yeah, because you determined what the retention rate was, right?
If I hit the backward arrows button, will that allow me to do that?
I think so. If not, you can probably just refresh the page and it'll let you refill it out.
Let's just start over. It's not like we don't have that link sitting right there.
So this is a great tool because it shows you the power of automation. Like, could you manually go through all of these applicants? Could you manually set up all of these interviews to meet your goal? Right? And so I could realistically tell you there's no way that I could manually do all this to meet my goals because my goals are pretty ambitious. And I can't afford to hire someone to be dedicated to this cause. So I always say that there are 2 choices that we have to make sometimes when it comes to our hiring goals. So we have to decide, do we want to automate it or dedicate it? Do we want to automate the system or do we want to hire someone to dedicate to the system?
Yeah. Nice. I love that. That's easy, right? Easy to think in terms of.
And so it really depends on the size of your company, which way you're going to go. And so for some of us smaller, and I'm at $1.5 million right now, so I still consider myself small because I can't afford to hire a full-time person to be dedicated to that role yet.
Right.
So I cannot afford to dedicate someone to that individual role yet. So I have to automate.
Sean. Hey, Sean.
Hey. Hi. Hopefully I get to see Sean at CBF Live this year.
Probably.
We're drinking buddies.
Yeah. I'm guessing that y'all are drinking buddies, that chances are good he's going to show up then.
Yeah. You can put that in the bank.
Yeah. So yeah, just think about automate or dedicate. Do you have the money and the time to automate someone to this or dedicate someone to this, or do I have to automate it? And so it's really easy to decide which way I have to go when it comes to this process. And so a lot of people ask me, well, how do I automate it? My first piece of advice is the way that I create anything is I cannot automate it unless I have the system first, because I don't know, how to automate it unless I have the steps first. So that's my organizing side of my brain. I have to have the process first before I can automate it.
All right.
And
So that makes sense. How can you automate something you don't have? Right? That doesn't really make sense to me. I wouldn't even know how you would do that. So somebody needs to have a process first so that they can automate it. And so how do they go about that, Libby? What are the steps to do that?
So, essentially it's not hard. I say, like Tom said, there's so much software out there. Anybody can get their hands on it. People use things like ClickUp, Trello. I'm a huge Trello fan. And essentially you can use absolutely anything out there. I'm a huge fan of using my own website, the back end of it to do stuff, but you can use things like the automations in ClickUp and Trello. But where it becomes difficult is maintaining it after you've made it. And that's where it becomes hard. And so it's just creating that process. And I said, automations it's no different, or they get kind of stuck on the whole creating the process. And I said, essentially the process is nothing different than creating a paper process, a binder, a series of steps. And then you find that software that can create that automation part of it.
Based on your experience in recruiting and building WootRecruit, are there some, from a process standpoint, some best practices you can share, regardless of how you're doing your recruiting, that could be useful to our audience?
Best practices. Yes, I could say from automations or just best practices in general.
Yeah, just
Let's see.
in general, and then if you can automate it, all the better.
Yes.
But, I know that there's a lot of, you mentioned, WootRecruit gets some better outcomes than just other methods of recruiting. So part of that's the automation, but I imagine some of that's just some techniques, some approaches that you guys have figured out over time. Anything like that can be useful to our audience?
Well, it's a little bit of coaching. So it's really teaching, I'm going to be honest, our clients to have a sexy job, to really make sure you're using, really, really having a great ad. I know that sounds so basic, but Liz can tell you, we will hound you for a great ad, and we have a great tool. And also I can drop the link in here, and it's free for anybody to use to help you write a great ad. And essentially you're just answering questions, and it's going to spit you out an already made ad.
Cool.
Because we need you to make a really great ad. And I use the word sexy all the time because it's what attracts people first. And
if you wanna drop the link in chat, I'll throw that up on the screen, and maybe we can write a sexy ad.
Because it's writing a great ad, because that's what's drawing people to your job first, right? It's that sexy ad, and it's then educating you on what does that look like. It's the verbiage in your ad. It's having a powerful title. And so we really educate you on that ad. And then if you can't write it, we really try to help you to write it. We don't want to write it for you, because it should be really a description of your job and convey your culture. So a short explanation of your company mission. Your company mission.
So Tom, we don't want to have a perfect ad here, right?
No.
So let's just throw up, for an example, we like to clean, right? Clean a bunch of houses. All right, that's good. I like it. Clean a bunch of homes. Full time. 10 things I'm going to love. What are some of the things that you're going to love about this company? Eat clean good. I just throw on some stuff that we know is not amazing.
And
we
so
pay you. I like that. We pay you.
We pay you.
Yeah.
What
are some other ones that you commonly see on here, Libby?
We pay on time.
We pay on time. I like
No.
to pay you every time.
We pay you every time. We have sexy uniforms. I don't know if you want to use the word sexy, but
yeah, I'm curious about that one. How about cool?
Yeah.
Forms? Yeah.
There you go.
Forms, yeah. How about Monday through Friday?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Monday through Friday. Right, we work Monday through Friday. I know that's common. No nights and weekends. That's common. Oh, Tom, you have to do per line.
Plus.
You
have to use the plus.
Oh my goodness. I wasn't following instructions, was I? So if I hit plus.
No. At the end of the line, there's the plus icon.
So
I
copy that and stuff.
Yeah, just copy all that and get rid of it. There you go.
There you go. And so, having a great job ad is a huge part of attraction, right? You want to attract as many people as you can. A great best practice thing is that if your ad is not getting you the volume of applicants you want in 48 hours, take it down. You're wasting your money.
So say that again, Libby.
If your ad is not getting you the volume you want in 48 hours, take it down. You're wasting your money.
Okay, I really like this this time frame that you put on it. 48 hours, right? That's your measure, y'all. If you want to know, like, well, how do I know if it's working or not? Libby just told you 24 hours.
No, 48 hours. 48 hours.
What did I say?
24.
Warren's helping us out here.
Hey, Paul. Oh, we got Molly on here too. Best dress.
Oh my goodness.
I love you, Molly.
Oh, I like that profile pic. That's nice.
So if you're not seeing results in 48 hours, take your ad down. You're wasting your ad spend money. If you're paying to boost that job ad, take the ad down and rewrite it. If you're getting the wrong type of applicants, like if you're interviewing all these people and you're saying they're horrible fits, they're not good fits, take the ad down and rewrite it. There is verbiage in the ad attracting the wrong people. So look at what is a great fit for your company and what you're trying to attract, and look at the verbiage in your ad. So I will tell you that we love baby boomers and millennials. So I write my ads to attract that. Millennials love culture and baby boomers love money. So,
you're talking about for the top 10 thing, or does that, I love what you're doing here, because a lot of times when you're like putting together an ad, you're writing it all about, I need somebody that'll clean homes for me. They need to have a car. They need to be able to work Monday through Friday. I need.
Requirements.
Yeah. And you're basically telling them a story of why they would want to work for your company. And so like attracting the demos that you're talking about, is that specifically in the mission? Do you address that here with, what parts of this application most, do you customize in order to go after a particular demographic?
So a little bit of all of it, because in my ad, like in my personal job ad, I talk about being woman-owned, minority-owned, because I'm minority, right? I'm Hispanic, I'm Native American, so I'm trying to attract people that fit in my company. I talk about cleaning for a reason, because we love doing cleaning for a reason, because we want people that love to do charity or love to participate in charity. So it's hitting home to people that kind of have the same likes and interests that the company do, or that I do, because I'm a reflection of the company. So you want to hit it in your benefits. You want to hit it in some of the story or the mission of the story. But if your ad, or you're attracting people that are like, oh my gosh, these are awful fits, it's your ad. It's what you're attracting in your ad. Mm-hmm. And you're right, Tom, when you say a lot of ads it's a bunch of list of demands, that doesn't work anymore. It's so competitive right now.
Yeah.
if it's just a list of why or what I want, you're not going to attract a lot of people. It's super competitive, and you need to tell a story of why they need to come work for you and why you are the best company in town. And if you're not the best company in town, you need to learn to be the best company in town really fast.
Yeah,
Give a
that's
description.
what we're always telling people. We've been telling people that for at least the last 9 months or so now, Tom, that you have to be the best company to work for in your area. So at least the best cleaning company to work for, right? But you need to be top 10 best place to work for sure.
And so, one of my sayings is, I know I'm not the best job in Fort Myers, I know I'm not the best job in the world, but I know that I can be the best job in Fort Myers.
Nice.
So give me an example of writing a description of work or contribution in third person. So I feel like I'm in high school English class.
You say, I don't know what to put here.
So sometimes we ask for like cleaning techs testimonials. So a cleaning technician's testimonial, like I love working here because, so you could ask for a cleaning technician's, like we ask for client testimonials or client reviews. So this would be like a cleaning tech review or testimonial. I think in my job ad, I have something like, it could be like, come get trained by Marcy and Denise and learn some of the best tips and tricks in the industry, get trained by the top professionals. Something in those terms. But here could be a testimonial from a cleaning technician, because it would be in their words, a third party. This job rocks.
Maybe since it's supposed to be third person, because that's first person, so maybe you have to put like a little hyphen or put who said it or something, so that it's clear that they said it, not you. Susie says,
Susie's been here 10 years, or so
yeah, and you probably need to say, like Libby said, Liz, who's been here 5 years or 10 years or whatever.
So, the whole process of what we've done with clients, everything from tracking a lead and automating the close, automating the lead process from the whole 20 days to close. We know our close rate with leads. We track all that. We know our client acquisition cost. And we're so worried about client reviews, client testimonials. You take that whole concept and all that information, and what we're doing now is we're turning it to that employee side.
Right.
If
I see an asterisk here, does that mean that that's required? I can't get by without.
Yes.
All right. And so I'm going to say, Tom, because we know that we want high S people or high C people working for our companies, that we want to put those characteristics in there so that they're attracting high S's and high C's, right? So maybe stable would be good, because that's one of the things that we're really looking for. Steady, another one for that high S. And then for our high C's, maybe conscientious, or even critical.
Could you spell that for me, Miss Michigan Spelling Bee champ?
SC.
I'm glad I'm not the only person that can't spell.
SCIENTIOUS. There you go.
All
right.
You can't be good at everything, Libby.
Right. Consistent, another good one, right? So you could have done consistent because you know how to spell that one. Tom, sorry.
Don't give me too much credit, maybe.
So you could just copy and paste that whole "come join our friendly team, future ice cream assistant." This is an example we have in there. if you don't want to retype all that.
Yeah, stick it in there.
So, oh, that's interesting. So, do you have like users on WootRecruit outside of the house cleaning industry?
Yes, we have a ton of different users. We have restaurants, bars, we have an ice cream shop, we have plumbers, electricians, restoration, lawn care, landscaping, pest control, heavy machinery, like equipment repair.
So
We-
service-based companies.
Yes, restaurants, service-based. We just landed our largest account we have right now, and they have a $15 million company with 180 technicians.
Nice.
So,
Right.
but we do service way more. Actually, we service way more non-cleaning companies than we do cleaning. We started with cleaning, but we have expanded
Out of that quickly. Only a quarter requirements not overwhelmed. Okay. Remember how to
Yes.
do that little plus thing there, Tom.
I'm on it.
And I recommend you just do like minimum.
The things that are like make or break. Like I'm not hiring you if you don't have a license. So I have to have that on here.
Yes.
Right. Because I don't even want to waste my time talking to people without licenses.
Breathing.
What about, Libby, what do you recommend as far as for people that want a clear drug test? They're like, I'm not hiring you if you don't have a clear drug test or a clear background check. Do you recommend that they put it here or wait?
So, okay, that is a great question.
Thank you.
Be very, very, very careful how you ask this question. It is illegal, technically, to ask this question in a certain form. I have a very good friend who's currently getting sued because they put this question on their application. And so one of the biggest pet peeves I have is the people that love to copy and paste other people's job ads. And so it is very big. And so they did copy and paste a competitor's job ad, and he just copied it and pasted it. And he's getting sued by someone that didn't even apply. They saw the job ad, and in his state, it discriminated against. It was a labor discrimination, and the state, he's being sued by the state for asking the background question.
Because
Could you share it just so we know what state is that in?
there's
Michigan, I believe it's Michigan.
But Tom, there are multiple states that you cannot ask about background until after they're hired.
Right.
So
And those rules are changing constantly.
Yes.
Too.
So
Yes.
I highly recommend, please, because this is me and Chris is in WootRecruit, he works in WootRecruit. That is our biggest pet peeve. If we catch our WootRecruit clients copying and pasting other people's ads, we're like, we won't post your ad. Go write your own ad. Go write your ad. We're not posting it until you write your ad. Stop being lazy and go write your ad.
But to be fair, Libby, I think that doesn't help a ton of people because they don't know this stuff. Even if they did write it themselves, the chances are good that they're still going to write the same thing because they don't know that they
they don't know, but also that's not going to do you any justice because you're not attracting the right people to your job. So you're not going to be happy about the results that are coming to your interviews.
Yeah.
You're going to be disappointed. So just be careful with copying and pasting, one, because you don't know, but also be careful with certain questions, especially with COVID and the vaccination question, because in Florida, you cannot discriminate against non-vaccinated people. It's a new law. Because people ask us every day in WootRecruit if we can add that to the job ad, and we're like, no.
Wow.
Because depending on your state, like Tom says, it changes every day.
Right.
And so they just passed the law in Florida that if you're not vaccinated, you cannot be discriminated against.
And, the flip side, I guess the Supreme Court is telling employers who, like in a healthcare setting, is getting Medicare or Medicaid money that your people have to be vaccinated. So I guess my takeaway from all this is, when in doubt, just don't put the application in writing. Don't put the question in writing on your application on the internet, where
There's
people who are
proof.
looking, where people are looking for lawsuits have pretty good software that they can crawl everything that's on the internet, just looking for those opportunities.
Yes.
So you
So
have some ideas of what those things are. So you gave a couple right there. COVID, right?
COVID, vaccination statuses,
Yeah.
you must be 21. You cannot ask that or require it unless your insurance requires it.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a ton of people, especially in the cleaning industry, who says, I don't want to hire anybody unless they're 21 because I don't like young people. Well, just because you don't like young people doesn't mean you can discriminate against them and put it on your application.
Yeah.
So unless you're like a bar and you can't hire people under 21 because they can't serve alcohol, you cannot put that on your application, or I'm sorry, your ad.
21 and over, that type of thing.
That type of thing. So unless it's a requirement through your insurance, it cannot be on there. Sometimes I feel like I got to go to HR classes to stay up to date with legal compliance. So you can't put those things on there. So it's the, must be 21. You can require that, yes, if your insurance requires it. The background check. Now, you cannot take my word because I don't know what state you're in, but the people that I know that are getting sued, it wasn't what he asked, it was how he asked it.
All right, good to
Right.
know.
So
that's the timing thing in this case. It was a how he asked it, like the actual words.
It's must be able to pass a background check. No, it's are you willing and able? Are you willing and able to undergo a criminal background check?
And just to be clear, these rules are different in every state. None of us are attorneys here.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what Libby shared with you is, it's a really good idea to take your application and any ads you're running. It's bigger than your application. Your ad copy arguably should be run by a labor attorney in your state as well. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. So if I were you, I wouldn't even put it in your ad, because you're more at risk to have it in your ad than in your application.
Yeah.
But you're not sure what you're putting in there. So go up a little bit, Tom. Here's another example of where you could get yourself in trouble and have zero idea. Where you have Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 with occasional Saturdays, that could get you in trouble in some areas. That could cause you trouble because go ahead, Tom.
No, it's just, this is, I learn things every day, and I'm learning something here, because I would never coach somebody to say, hey, you need to take all your classified ads, all your recruiting ads, and run them by an attorney. But
or maybe
I'm writing this down. This isn't happening.
Or at least by your HR expert, right? Somebody who does stay on top of this, and that's what they do for a living.
And that's what we do.
You know where I am on the spectrum of.
I do. Cover your butt. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I will tell you, Indeed will help you stay compliant because they will flag your ads sometimes, but it's really hard for them to flag the verbiage in it.
Right.
They only catch it because they use algorithms. Right. So sometimes it gets flagged and you don't even know it. That's probably why you're not getting good results. So
as far as automations, getting back to automations.
Okay. Yes.
Right? So when we're talking about automations, what you're suggesting is you want to create an ad, and then you want to automate that ad and check your results every 48 hours. Make sure that you're getting the results that you want, and then change it, modify it. And then as soon as you get the ad that's working for you, okay, now we're going to begin to automate our entire system. We've got our ad, and now we're going to be doing more with the ad. Is that right? Is that what I'm hearing?
So yes, and I suggest you change your ad on a regular basis.
Okay. How often is regular?
I would say probably at least once a quarter. Change it out, rewrite it. Because I'll give you a great example. People come in here and they're like, man, that one cleaning service must be horrible. They're always hiring. They have the same ad up all the time. They must treat their employees awful.
Yeah.
Not awesome.
Not
Who would have thought? And I'm thinking from an owner, oh, they must be a great business. They're always hiring. But from the employee side, you're kind of like, oh, but if you're always running the same ad, it gets stale, it gets old.
I've already seen it. I've already applied. I already know that one. I just need to find something new and fresh. I still don't have a job. I need something new because I'm trying to find a job. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So rewriting it once a quarter at least is great. Changing the verbiage, updating it. What I like to do is use information from the interviews to rewrite my job ad.
Great.
So it stays relevant. All the things that people say why they left their jobs is what I use in my job ad.
Yeah, it's a great idea because especially, I love that now more than ever before because we are seeing so much change in the collective thinking of applicants than we have seen historically. 5 years ago, you could pretty much say that your applicants wanted the same thing as they did 7 years ago, 10 years ago, 3 years ago. But now what people want today is different than what they wanted even 6 months ago. Definitely different than what they were expecting a year ago, especially in terms of pay and this. There's a whole new movement on respect and, being appreciated, and it's a different world out there. People are expecting more from the job. So I love that. I think that's probably one of the smartest tips I've heard in the last 3 months is get your verbiage for your ad from the people that are applying for your jobs. What are they saying they don't like? And what are they saying they're looking for? So smart.
All those questions that you ask, why did you leave your last job? What did you not like about it? Yeah. Those are the key questions that you use to write your next ad. That's the opposite.
Yeah. My manager was a jerk. Hey, no jerky managers here.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, of course, you're going to change it up a little bit. But if you're hearing routinely that the last company, they didn't listen to us. They just didn't even care anything about us. All right. Now you have some.
You can have an endless amount of information, like I'm looking for work-life balance. I'm looking for flexibility. I'm looking for stability. I'm looking for, just you name it. And it's just a plethora of information you could have for your ad. And so it's out there, and that's what everybody's saying.
Right.
Because sometimes we lose perspective as the owner when it comes to writing this ad. And so once you get that down and you get a good ad, the way I used to do it before, when I would automate it, I would never check any of the applications or the resumes. I would simply make a template, and you name it. If you have a paid Google account, you could make a template in Gmail, like a template email, or you can just make a template in Google, like a Google Doc. And I would just literally copy and paste that email to everyone who applied for my job. And didn't even read any of the application, and invite everybody to an interview.
And so are you saying that was great? You love that you did that? That was super smart? Or I highly recommend you stop doing that?
No, that is part of that's kind of like an automated feature I did before I did WootRecruit. Because I would just invite everybody.
Right? So if you don't have a program like WootRecruit, at least have some systems that you can automate, even if they're not fully automated where you're like your hands off with them, at least automate what you can automate.
Yes. And so
create yourself some templates and
you just invite, so you're not wasting any time reading applications, and everybody's like, oh, but I don't want unqualified people to come. They're going to weed themselves out. They're not going to show up. They're not going to answer your email.
Yeah. Molly wants to know, what do you think about group interviews, Libby?
I like group interviews. I'm a fan, but you have to have an office. You have to have them set up right. And unfortunately with COVID, they're kind of hard to pull off right now.
And so you like live group interviews, not a Zoom group interview?
Yes, I like live group interviews. So with COVID, they're hard to pull off right now with the numbers so high. So I like live group interviews. You could do live group Zoom interviews. I've never done live group Zoom interviews, but I think you do them, right, Liz?
Yep, we do.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm a fan of, stacking, time blocking, using your time wisely.
That's the whole point of automations, right?
Yes.
Is that and something else that we were talking about today in one of our groups is that they were saying a common struggle is, the employees keep calling the office for the same things over and over again. And so the idea there is anything that you have to do more than once needs to not be done a third time, right? You've done it a second time. You need to put some sort of a process in place that you don't end up having to do that again. So in this case, when we're talking about recruiting, if you're having to do the same thing over and over again, you need to find a way to automate that in some way, even if it's not through a program. I know we have also, Sean's on here, and he also is a huge fan. Sean Day, right? Same idea. We got to automate this stuff and make it happen automatically so that you are hands off and you're spending your time. We talked about last month, working on your business and not in your business, right? You got to be spending more time doing that.
And your time is limited, and when you try to do all of these things manually or even hire other people to do it, A, you're either spending a lot more money you need to, and B, typically you don't do it as much as you need to because you just don't have time to do it. Other things pop up. And when it comes to recruiting and the whole formula that we were looking at earlier, if you aren't recruiting, you aren't growing your business because you're not going to have the people that you need to grow your business.
And so one of the things I want to share about, a lot of people they give us a lot of pushback about the speed that, and Liz can contest to the speed that WootRecruit can deliver sometimes. Mm-hmm. It makes a lot of people uncomfortable because it's kind of like on demand. You turn it on and you'll have interviews like the same day. Or within 24 hours. But the speed is your competitive edge at the moment. And the more obstacles you put in the way when it comes to hiring right now, you're going to cut your show rate by 50%. So you want to make it, or more, you want to make it so easy. Not to get the job easy, but you want to make the process so easy. I was driving in the car with my son, and I was talking on the phone to somebody about hiring, and I hung up the phone, and I was kind of frustrated. And I was like, man, why are so many people struggling? And, we're passing McDonald's and Home Depot, and, and I said, look at all these places they can hire. They may be understaffed, but they're open and they can hire, and they do not pay as well as all of us do. And my 13-year-old son looked at me and goes, Mom, they make it so easy. I just got to walk in.
Yeah, it's true.
Because look, the sign says they'll hire me on the spot. I just got to walk in because we were parked at McDonald's, and I just got to walk in. And so I'm thinking, you're right. We're doing all these other things, and we're making it so many processes, and we're cutting our show rate because we're adding all of these steps and steps.
Yeah.
So just look at your process, and what does your process look like from an applicant standpoint, and how complicated am I making it?
And that's a right now thing. So I want to interject this thing because a lot of people out there are like, yeah, but you don't understand, Liz, that I have always done it this way where I require them to, write me a letter and tell me why they want to work for us. And I require this and I require that. You know what? That was great. That was awesome back in the day when there were so many applicants and you had so many applicants to choose from that were great that you had to find a way to weed them out. That was great. That's not today's scenario. And you have to change with the times.
Oh.
You have to base what you're doing today based on today's landscape, our hiring landscape.
And they've known this for years, like on the marketing and sales side for clients, they call it friction. And every time you ask, online booking, for instance, every question you ask, you diminish the amount of leads you're getting.
Yeah.
So you want to make it really easy for people to get into your ecosystem anyway, so you can talk to them. You might make it a little bit hard before you actually, offer them the job. You don't. You go into McDonald's, they don't just say, well, start, here's an apron and a hat. I mean, they ask you a few questions, they make you go through a process, right?
Actually, just telling you right now, if you apply for a job at Taco Bell, if you apply, the person at the counter is given the authority to hire you to come to work tomorrow.
So
Whoever's
not at that moment. It's like, are you ready to start right now? Come over here.
But everybody at the counter. You were hired yesterday. Today's your first job. If anybody applies for a job, you tell them to come to work tomorrow. So they are essentially hiring every single person that comes in.
Everybody has the authority to hire.
But here's the thing. I can guarantee you it's also a filter, because not everybody's going to show up tomorrow.
Absolutely. They're not going to show up tomorrow. There's a lot of people that are like, what? I can't.
That was too easy. I wouldn't work for a company that would hire me the next day.
But the whole point is, today, what we have to do is different than what we had to do a year ago. It's different. So yes, there was a lot of friction a year ago. It made sense to do that. It doesn't make sense to do that now. And Libby, you're in the business. You're telling us as the expert that sees way more applications that are coming in, way more ads that are going out. You have a lot more data to look at to tell us the situation today. And in Smart Business Moves, we always say, watch the data. Do what the data tells you to do. You have more data than we do currently in this environment. And you're saying, simplify it, make it easy, make it fast.
Make it easy, make it fast, automate what you can, because automations will make it faster. And like I said, if you don't have your process, get it down. Simply automate the small stuff you can. Stop trying to touch every person, because you don't need to touch everybody yet until you get in front of them. Getting in front of them, whether it's in Zoom or in person, make it as fast as you can. Stop looking at every single thing. Create email templates for responses so they can be as fast as possible. And then my I don't know if we're over yet, but my final piece of advice is, if you want to grow, please make hiring part of your administrative daily routine. I'm sure Liz has heard me say this 100 million times. Please make it part of your daily routine. Even if you don't hire every day, even if you're not a large business, make it part of your daily routine. And everybody's like, what do you mean by that? I mean, like, have interviews scheduled that you do them every single day or every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's part of your administrative routine in your office. Not, oh my gosh, Susie quit. We need to post a job ad. Now we're 3 weeks behind the game. We still got a trainer, and I'm turning away jobs.
Yeah. So standard operating procedure in your company needs to be that we are always hiring.
Always hire.
Always hiring. And if we're not hiring that person right now, we're at least always recruiting.
Yes.
Always recruiting. At the very least, you're recruiting.
Always. And so I was doing a presentation yesterday for lawn care group. And the guy said, well, what if I'm not hiring? What if my company's fully staffed? I was like, great question. So you're telling me that you don't want to grow? You don't have you have no goals in growing the business?
Yeah.
If a rock star came in, you wouldn't hire them and up your marketing? You're telling me that you don't have your company's full of A players.
We are at the top of the hour, and this is awesome. We could talk about this probably. Yeah. So that's it. I dropped a link to WootRecruit again. If you want to know more about the product, I'm sure that you can hit them up there, and Libby would be glad to give you a skinny. We've got a lot of people here. Pam's a client, getting a lot of awesome results.
Me
Liz.
too. Yeah.
We're done for the week, right? This is Wednesday.
Yeah,
This
we
is
are.
Wednesday. We are. We're going to be back. Are we going to be back Monday?
Monday, we're going to be back, and we are going to be going live from sunny Phoenix. Right. So, Tom, I don't believe you'll be here next week,
I'm going to be out of pocket next week.
but I will be here, and we're going to have a little mini panel on some processes for actually hiring. So you got your recruiting in, right? And so now what are some automations that you can use for hiring? That's what we're going to do. We're going to have Heather Canning, Samantha Snyder, and Sarah Mitchell are going to join me from Phoenix.
So, Libby, thank you very much. This
Thank you
was
so much.
this was fun. I love talking about automations, and this is a great way to start the month.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. And those tools too. Libby, you gave us 2 great tools that hopefully people go in there and use those tools right there. Those are sometimes that little tiny thing is like, okay, good. That helps. That makes a difference. It doesn't have to be the whole thing has to be just change little things, little bit, little by little. Libby got us doing that too. Change this little thing, tweak. Yeah.
So
All right.
we'll see you guys Monday. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thanks again, Libby.
Bye.
Bye.